Today I want to talk about basically why we feel sad. As INFJs, it seems as though through the course of our life we go into these sadnesses, into these deep sadnesses through the course. It started as children, obviously, and it kind of just turned into what it is. It turned into us being sad at various moments through the course of our life. I'm going to tell you, people, there is a way that the sadness can be dealt with. Now, I think, in a sense, it is a necessary thing. We need to feel a sense of sadness. We can't be in a constant state of bliss or gladness. We have to understand that it's a balance. It's actually a balance to the whole euphoric feeling of looking for joy and happiness, because that can't be attained all the time. Oh, by the way, this is Tom. This is the INFJ Experience. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is why exactly our depression and sadness is sometimes necessary in our growth of our life. All right? Now, like I said before, it's something that we've tapped into as long as we can remember. Maybe we were left to our own devices, put into a situation where we only had ourselves to turn to. Now, I've said that before. So we turn inward, we look inward, we became introverted. This is part of that. And of course, we've always felt isolated. That led to our isolation. And that isolation is that very center of our soul that just seems to be completely alone within ourselves. And INFJs feel this deeply. This is something that is universally understood. INFJs seem to have more of an understanding of this isolating feeling, well, probably more than any other type of the MBTI. But the reason is because it gave us a sense of comfort. It was a relief in a sense. It was our way of crying out. Just as, let's say, a child may act up upon and act sad, and maybe the parents were around. Let's just say the parents were around and they acted sad and they got attention. They got attention from the parent. They were comforted sometimes. Now, was an INFJ ever at some point comforted? There might have been a time or two, but for the most part, they comforted themselves. They looked within their own psyche for their own comfort. Of course, this gave them a sense of their own independence and self, as we know. But instead of it being a sense of comfort outside from somebody else, it in a sense became a source of comfort that they craved, some kind of wholeness within their solitude. In other words, the emptiness, the very empty vapidness of who they were was the only embracement they had, even though it was themselves. But now this leads me to why this is a necessary thing and why INFJs may feel as though they're being punished in their world. They may feel as though they've been cursed. And this is their curse in life, to go through this bout of sadness, emptiness, through the course. Now, we may think of it as some kind of a punishment, a chastisement, whatever you might call it. But deep down, it's got to become to a revealing point where in this moment you're asking questions. You're reaching deep within your soul, deep within your psyche, asking for relief, for something. Now you're crying to your very spirit. You're crying to the origin of who you are. You're reaching deep into that subtle knowing of where your origin, your beginning was from. And ultimately that is your creator. You see, if we were comforted and if we were in some kind of agreement with our world, let's just say we liked the world was offering us our own comfort, then we wouldn't grow internally. Now, being that INFJs are strictly always mentally internal, spiritually internal, introverted intuitive, introverted thinking, all inside, and they have very weak extroverted sensing, completely built inside, completely. And they're trying to find answers within themselves. It comes to a conclusion in your life. An epiphany should happen. You were left alone for this reason. You were chosen. An INFJ is chosen for this. It's a harsh, painful journey, yes, people, and I wouldn't wish it upon anybody unless there was something valuable to be found at the end of this. But our value is the fact that an epiphany comes out that we were alone. Basically to find God. Basically to find that inner, deep self, the one that is part of the Creator's code in a sense. Because if without that struggle, without that growth, without that reaching within ourselves, it would never have been found. Then you find out it had to have been all by design, by the Creator himself. That certain people are meant for this. But these are the ones that are deeply connected to the origin of this, of all creation. When you reach that epiphany, it can be a mesmerizing event to finally realize that that's what it was. And usually it steers a different direction within yourself. You stop believing that you had a purpose in life. And ultimately that was our purpose, to find a better clarity. I know now, this world, the way it's conditioned, we live in a world now, certain parts of this world, once you mention spirit, God, any kind of religion, it's just kind of taken out of context and it's just disregarded. Now, as you know, the world wants to deny that, that God exists in a way, but deep down what it is that that's why INFJs are who they are. They're somehow chosen to go through this hardship to find that. But it's a strength. It's a strength that not many can endure. But INFJs are built for enduring certain things. I mean, there are certain physical type specimens that are meant to endure certain hardships in the world. Soldiers and athletes train for hardship physically, of course, as you know. Now, they're built that way. They could be the type that their personality type is built to withstand that and push their bodies and their senses, their outer extroverted senses to the limit. And this is how they develop strong. Does it make their mind strong? Yes, it sharpens their mind as well. It's all part of the whole mind and body to sharpen your wits, so you sharpen your senses. Now, you got certain types. The introverted intuitive is built a different way, especially INFJs. They're built to withstand the hardships, but mostly it's an internal hardship. It's that soul hardship. Yeah. And this is the one that very few have ever discovered because it's an intangible. It's not really accepted because, yes, it's not there. It's not a physical something you can put your hand on. This is why it's a disregarded thing. But this is who the INFJ is. Basically, it is the fact that why they are sad, why they suffer, why they are isolated, is to ultimately go through the hardship and being closer to God. Yeah, to being the spiritual ones. So if you ever look inside a INFJ, a good majority of their heart, of who they are, is spiritual. So not only are they introverted, intuitive, yeah, they're highly spiritual as well. It all goes with the territory in a sense. I mean, now you think of the spirit as even less to prove even than our own psyche. At least there's something believable about a psyche, because we know we have our mind. We know we have our thoughts. And we know we have the abstract, introverted intuition. We can see it. Even though we know it's abstract and irrational in our mind, we still can testify that it's there. We can still see this. We can hear it, we can see our thoughts. We just know that the images of intuition is there. But you go beyond that. You can't really see the soul. But it's a subtle awareness. It's a subtle, still, quiet, silent whisper of an awareness. That's the only way I can put it into words. Now, it's that awareness. That's the part that the INFJ sinks into during their sadness. That's what it is. It's that deep core of that spiritual realm that they're reaching into, ultimately. Now, that's the reason, people. This hit me one time as an epiphany. That's why. That's why we're alone, because we might be left alone in that whole mind of ours, feeling as though we're adrift on a raft in the middle of nowhere, without a rudder, just looking for something, answers. And eventually the answer comes to you. It's like, why am I alone? Why am I being pushed this way? Why am I suffering? Why me? Because, in God's saying, God quotation, because I'm choosing you to find me. And that goes with other INFJs. Now, not to say anybody couldn't find God in their own way, but it's almost like he built a certain very rare type of personality to have more of that proclivity, even though it's a rough road. It's a very rough road spiritually. Mentally, it's very, very rough. This is the only way to reach certain people in their life. This is how it's revealed to me. This is how I'm trying to interpret it to you people. It's a spiritual thing. It's definitely all spiritual. Ultimately, what I've always discovered now is that our introversion, our pain is not in vain. I know that rhymes, but I didn't mean to let that rhyme. But so our pain is not in vain. That's all I can say, is that it is a necessary thing. This is part of your growth. In that moment, it feels like torture. It feels painful. But in the long run, when these epiphanies, when these realizations kick in, when they just happen, you'll realize that you are somehow meant to find this. That this is part of who you are, and you were set aside for that reason. You're chosen. You're chosen in a sense. Well, thank you so much for attending, people. I want to please give me some thumbs up, and of course, leave your comments. And so until the next time, and then you could always watch these other videos up here. And subscribe down here. Okay? Well, until the next time, people. All right? Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day.